Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Frank. He's Aaron William Freeland, and he's back.
Yes, sir. We are finally back. It's been a while, hasn't it? I don't think we've spoken since Monday, the 22nd of December in the previous year. So it's been a while.
It's been an annum.
Literally.
It's been a good and bad departure or vanishing. Well, look, why don't we pick up where we left off? And like you said, the 22nd was the last time we were here. So there was a game on the 23rd, and it was Pittsburgh. And the Leafs won and the lead.
Yeah, this one, something that we definitely needed, put it that way. Nylander scored 9:07 into the first. Brian Rust tied it up 44 seconds later, sorry. And then Matthias Michelli got one, which made it 2-1 at 13:34 of the first. Heading into the second intermission, Steve Lorentz came out on fire, scored 7:38 into the second period. Rutger McGroarty, now here's a made-up player name for you if you've ever heard one. Rutger McGroarty scored to make it 3-2 at 11:43 of the second. And then Anthony, definitely an old-timey player. That's got one of those Sillaps or Kip Purdue sort of feels to it. Anthony Mantha scored in the first minute of the third period, but then Domi, Bobby McMahon, and Willie Nylander all had goals to finally cement it. The last two by McMahon and Nylander were actually empty netters. So Toronto managed to put that game away 6-3. I don't think Toronto was ever really in danger of losing that game. There were periods where they tried to make it close, but it didn't really pan out to anything. Penalties were even, 3 apiece, so that worked out nicely. But yeah, the majority of the penalties happened in the third period when everything seemed to get a little bit tighter and everybody was gripping the sticks just a little bit harder. So at the end of the day, 6-3 Leafs on that one.
4 days later, they played the Senators, a team. The Pens too. I mean, they're at the bottom, so they got to beat everybody they run into, like we've talked about, Aaron. And they handed the Sens a defeat, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was very impressed by that. Now, it hasn't helped that Ottawa hasn't exactly played the best in their last 10. They are 6-3-1. But with that, they've actually tumbled to a point behind the Maple Leafs, who are coincidentally and interestingly enough 5-4-1 in their last 10. But yeah, at the end of the day, the Battle of Ontario turned into a wee bit of a barn burner. I've heard it described by various television personalities as holiday hockey in the truest sense of the word, in that there's absolutely no defense. It's full of sugary goals that are bad for you, and it drives coaches nuts.
Are you saying it was a turkey?
I'm saying that this was a week and a half, almost 2 weeks of just straight up sugar, and I don't think it was good for anybody. Toronto jumped out to a nice 2-0 lead in the first period before Nick Cousins clawed one back with 2 minutes and 10 left. They opened the scoring again to tie it up early in the second period. As is tradition, the Leafs seem to get scored on during the first minute and last minute of each period, or they're the ones doing the scoring. So, Willie Nylander opened it at the 42nd mark, 42nd mark, of the first period for Toronto. Then Ridley Greig scored in the first 20 seconds of the second period. Then Drake Batherson scored in the first 15 seconds of the third. But at the end of the day, Toronto's stick-to-itiveness saw them come out on top 7-5, with Tavares getting the empty netter to seal the deal.
Absolutely. And then they played the Red Wings and lost in overtime. That was an important game that if they could have taken those 2 points.
If they could have taken those 2 points, that would have been really fantastic. I mean, as it was, they at least managed to get a point out of it by going to overtime. I heard people say that, this is one of those games where it's like, the Leafs should win. No, they really shouldn't. They need to. Detroit is on top of the division. Yeah, they're defying expectations currently. They're sitting at 24-14-4. It's unbelievable. but yet somehow, the Leafs are expected to come out on top, which realistically speaking, nah. At the end of the day, they managed 36 shot attempts. Sorry, 27 shot attempts to Detroit's 36 shot attempts. At the end, Detroit came out on top just mainly because bad change and the way she went.
Absolutely. And then they turned around, they beat the Devils 4-0. Joseph Wall with a blanking shutout.
Joseph, I think had something interesting to say at the end of that game.
I'm going to suck tomorrow.
Well, I wasn't quite that. It was one of those, hey, shutouts are great, but like I was standing on my head. The team needs to be better.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The team played well. They won 4-0. They played without their captain, so they proved that they could play defensive hockey. The Devils are a team that haven't been playing well. I think they were like in the middle of 1-7 record or something. But that doesn't mean nothing when it comes to the Leafs. Almost the worse the team plays, the more chance there is that they're going to win. We've seen that historically. And cue the Jets, they'd lost like 8 of their last games or 7 of their last games, and now they're playing the Leafs. And then they jump out to the infamous 4-1 lead.
I tell you, with Winnipeg coming in 1-6-3 in their last 10 and on a 3-game losing streak, I was convinced that this is where they were going to be able to turn it around because it's the Maple Leafs. It's New Year's Day. Now, don't get me wrong. The last 4 New Year's Day games before this, Toronto had actually managed to come out on the winning end of it. So there was hope that this sort of tradition would continue, and they did not disappoint.
Yeah.
They
did it first. You see all the posts in the Maple Leaf chats? They suck again. They're getting drilled by the worst team in the league.
But it was 4-1, and that was at the 5:24 mark of the second period. And the last half of the game, it was all Leafs. They outscored them 4-1, going away in the second and third periods. Ekman Larson had his 7th. Austin Matthews had his 17th and 18th goals of the season. Matias Michelli got in on the scoring. Troy Stecher finally had his first.
What a shot by Michelli.
That was a dynamite play. I don't think anybody was expecting that.
Was it a coinky dink that he played so well? Because there's rumors he's being traded to Boston.
If you can pump your own tires before the event actually happens,
maybe he wants out. He might want out.
You never know. But the fact that he managed to pot one here, with Nyes and Tavares getting the assist, even with Scheifele potting one at 8:50 into the third period, we're talking 11:10 remaining. Didn't take the air out of the balloon. They were down 5-4 at that point. Then Troy Stecher scored to tie it up at 13-13, and then Austin Matthews had the final goal at 15:38 of the third period. So glad that we didn't have to go to overtime on that one. But over the course of the weekend, the Leafs got 9 out of 10 points in that particular week.
Good for them.
Not saying that we should be planning the parade or anything, but at least they're showing signs of life.
Well,
you can stop planning the funeral.
For sure.
Go the other direction and stay away from a funeral. Let's talk about the Raps and what about the Nuggets? What'd they do to the Raptors?
Well, Peyton Watson had 24 points. Jamal Murray kicked in 21. This is actually the first game that the Denver Nuggets have won without Nikola Jokic. They beat the Raptors 106-103 on Wednesday. Denver was 13-23 over the last 5 seasons when Jokic wasn't in the lineup, but held on down the stretch to end a 2-game losing streak that they were on. Now, they thought they'd managed to send it to overtime when Brandon Ingram banked in a 3-pointer right at the horn, but it was overturned after video reviews showed that the ball was still on his fingers when time expired. Now, that chance came after Bruce Brown missed a pair of 3 throws with 3 seconds remaining, but unfortunately it was a case of too little, too late. Ingram finished with 30 points for Toronto, missed 2 of 7 attempts from distance. Emmanuel quickly had 22 points, and Scotty Barnes had 20 points, 14 rebounds, and 10 assists for his 8th career triple-double and his 2nd triple-double in 3 games. RJ Barrett also had 17 points for Toronto, missed a late 3-point attempt that probably would have tied it. So they're going into Atlanta on Saturday, and the Nuggets are currently in Cleveland tonight.
Let's do some CFL. Red Blacks picked up a player.
Yeah, so they've acquired Niles Morgan from the Elks. They sent American linebacker. They got American linebacker Niles Morgan, and 2 draft picks were sent over for another pair of draft picks in the 2026 CFL draft. So basically, the Red Blacks got Niles Morgan, a 2026 third-round pick, and a 2026 fifth-round pick, while the Elks got a 2026 third-round pick and a 2026 fourth-round pick. Now, he's one of those players, Dinwiddie said, that they've enjoyed watching from afar over the past several seasons, and he's excited to have them as part of the defense moving forward. God, it's still confusing to say his name in association with Ottawa as opposed to Toronto.
Absolutely.
It's tough, man.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Rough Riders, and they extend MLS.
Yeah, they've signed him to a 2-year contract extension. He was supposed to be a free agent in February and was ranked 3rd in the CFL's top 30 pending free agents list. MLS signed his extension with the Riders after a really, really good performance in the 112th Grey Cup that helped his team seal their 5th championship in club history. He went 10 for 10 with 108 yards. That's the highest total for a Rough Rider in a Grey Cup game in club history. He also earned 58 yards after the catch and a 10.8 yards per catch average en route to being named the game's top Canadian. So good for them for locking him up. The offensive line is definitely firming up for the future.
Absolutely. How about those Argos?
Yeah, they finally released their schedule. We're looking at 3 home games that are away. So for those of you who have season tickets, one of the options is to actually take the ticket in Hamilton. The other is to just avoid it entirely. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit tricky for the Argonauts, especially in June and July because of this. Apparently, there's this football tournament, soccer tournament that's coming to Toronto. So it's going to be taking up field time.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the new era, the new looks, and the 4 teams that are changing their uniforms or the look of them.
Yeah, Toyota is partnering with Haas. So it's now Toyota Gazoo Racing and Haas Racing. They've actually put the TGR logo front and center in the Haas design. The good news is because both racing groups have the same red, white, and black livery, it's not going to interfere with the Haas F1 team racing logo too much. Red Bull have made major changes as well. The words Red Bull in their logo now have a white outline. So big changes there. Make sure that you buy your new hats because they need all the money they can get. Mercedes has changed up their logo slightly as well. Gone is the 3D shading in the actual arrows in the little tri-corner logo that they have. They've now gone with the solid white. And Williams has actually gone back a little bit into their racing history with their new logo, just as a callback with the radically slanted W and adding Atlassian. So some small changes there, but you're going to have to buy all new merch. Otherwise, everybody's going to know that you're not current. So keep your eyes open and peeled for that, F1 folks.
Absolutely. Let's go over to hockey, and we'll go to the Canadian teams. And Caulfield and Hudson were left off the U.S. Olympic team. Some disappointment there, but they do have a lot of really good players to pick from.
No, this is true. They were hoping that they'd be playing in the Winter Olympics next month in Milano Cortina, Italy. They will most likely, if there are any injury replacements, they'll be called up, but they didn't appear on the initial Winter Games roster when it was announced on Friday morning. Caulfield, who's just 25, leads the Canadians with 20 goals with 20 assists in 40 games this season. He was also the Molson Cup recipient for December after scoring 5 goals and 8 assists during the month. Hudson has 6 goals, 34 assists, and a plus 12 differential this season on defense. The reigning Calder Trophy winner for the best rookie was tied for second in scoring in the league amongst defensemen entering Friday. Neither of them, unfortunately, made the roster. I know that's got to sting and that's got to suck, but at the same time, I think everybody could use about a month off while they have the Olympics going on. So I don't think they're going to be entirely too upset by that.
They've got opportunities in the future. They'll be less than 30 in the next Olympics, so they'll have a really good chance to prove between now and then how good a player they are. Let's talk about the Canadians ending their losing streak in Carolina.
It's been almost 10 years, if you can believe it, Frank. They haven't won on the road against the Carolina Hurricanes since Marty St. Louis was still playing in the league, and that was going back to April 2016. So, they finally managed to catch a win there. It's a good thing. They've been having a lot of issues in the second period this season. But this time around, they actually had a strong middle period. After conceding or allowing a fourth goal, the Habs actually scored 3 unanswered to roll back with a 5-4 lead before finally taking the win. So, good for them on that. It's been a bit of time coming. I'll give them that much.
In Ottawa, Sanderson out, Pinto in. Sorry, the other way around.
Jake Sanderson is in for Team USA. Shane Pinto is out. He's going to be joining Brock Faber, Noah Hannafin, Quinn Hughes, Seth Jones, Charlie McAvoy, Jacob Slavin, and Zach Werenski in their defensive core. Now, Sanderson, if you recall, was a late Four Nations replacement for Quinn Hughes. And this time he was late in getting the Olympic news as well. Apparently, when Team USA GM Bill Guerin tried to call him, the call went to voicemail. But when they finally managed to get a hold of him, Sanderson, he said he was a little overwhelmed by the news.
They broadcast it on NBC, the Today Show, so they delayed actually making it official. So not that they were on tenterhooks. I think they all knew who was going to be on the team. They just didn't broadcast it. That's all they didn't do. Let's talk about Zetterlund and his 10th goal.
Yeah, so the Senators are 6-3-1 in their last 10. The good news is Zetterlund's been a part of that. He scored with less than 2.5 minutes left to give the Sens a 4-3 win over the Washington Capitals yesterday. His 10th of the season came less than 2 minutes after Alexei Protas tied the game at 3-3. So thanks to that, the Sens managed to bring it home. Batherson had a wide open net late in the second, but his shot hit the post. Greek tied it with 28.8 seconds left in the second period. That was a shot that, unfortunately, Thompson inadvertently pushed over the goal line. The Senators are going to be playing the Winnipeg Jets on Saturday, and the Caps are going to be hosting the Blackhawks on Saturday.
Hellebuck made the U.S. team.
Yep. I don't think there was really any surprise there. Kyle Connor and Connor Hellebuck, the Connors, unofficially named, have earned their spots on Team USA's roster. Given their track records and recent history with the national team, I don't think that was going to be any bit of a surprise. They were part of the Four Nations face-off team and were widely expected to return to the Olympic stage. Now, this is a huge confidence boost for both players. I know Hellebuck hasn't exactly been spectacular since his return from injury, but this should be a good vote of confidence for him, a nice little shot in the arm.
Flames have been playing well. They thumped the Flyers 5-1.
Yeah, this is their 5th straight home game that they've won. Michael Backlund stayed hot. He got his 10th goal on Wednesday. Morgan Frost, Jonathan Huberdeau, Rasmus Anderson, and Connor Zary also scored for Calgary, who are Bettman 500 at 18-18-4, while Mackenzie Weegar and Matt Coronado each chipped in a pair of assists. Travis Konechny scored for Philly, who are 20-12-7, making 25 saves for his 8th straight win at home. Was Dustin Wolf, who evened his record at 14-14-2. And Sam Urson, who had 20 saves for Philly, fell to 6-5-4. Up next, the Flyers are traveling to Edmonton to play the Oilers on Saturday, and the Flames are hosting the Preds on Saturday.
Let's talk about Sweden and picking up 2 players, Anderson and Backlund.
Yeah, so Rasmus Anderson is heading to the Olympics. Backlund was unfortunately left out. Anderson's start, I think, to the 25-26 season basically made him a lock for the blue line. You know, he was originally telling himself, Anderson was, that if I don't make it, I don't make it. But at the same time, like, there are so many good Swedish defensemen out there, he wouldn't have been surprised had he not made it. Now, he is going to be a UFA at the end of the season on July 1st. The Olympics are a great opportunity for him to pump his own tires before the season end to try to convince Calgary to get off their wallets and give him a deal. So,
Do the Leafs sign him?
you know, if we have the money, I wouldn't be too upset with that. I got to be honest with you.
I'd swap him for Riley in a heartbeat.
Oh, in a hot minute.
Let's talk about Pasternak's 3-point effort.
Yeah, he had 2 goals and an assist as the Bruins closed out the 2025 calendar year with a really much-needed 6-2 win over the Edmonton Oilers on Wednesday. The Bruins are 3-5-2 in their last 10. They've slipped all the way to 7th, tied with the Maple Leafs at 44 points, and 2 points out of a wild card spot behind Buffalo and Washington. Buffalo's looking like they might not ever lose again. They've won 10 in a row. And this team, anyways, Zach Hyman and Jack Roslovic had goals for the Pacific Division leading Oilers. Now they've lost 2 of their last 3, but are still 9-5-1 for the month of December. Hampus Lindholm's 2 points were a bit of an offensive explosion for him. He came into the game with just 1 point in his previous 12. Hyman extended his point streak to 6 games and has 12 goals in his last 16 outings. His first period goal was his 156th as an Oiler and moved him out of a tie with Craig McTavish for 15 most in franchise history. Up next, the Bruins are going to be playing their 4th game of a 5-game trip in Vancouver, and the Philadelphia Flyers are going to be hosted by the Oilers on Saturday.
And McDavid says the Olympics are really here.
Yeah, it's, sometimes it takes a while for it to sink in. But after he heard his name on Wednesday, he says it sort of started to become finally a little more real. As a player, he said, I'm just excited about the fact, it's becoming more real. It's coming together. The team's been announced. The Olympics are getting closer. He was one of 6 players added to the roster over the summer. And that's, one of those selections that genuinely carries a lot of weight.
Absolutely. We now can talk about Elias Patterson of the Swedes, and he joins the Olympic roster.
This, I think, has been one of those long time coming sort of things for Elias Pettersson, not to be confused with Elias Pettersson or the other Pettersson. This is the guy that wears number 40 for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, this should come as no surprise to anybody, really, mainly because he was one of the forwards representing them at the Four Nations Face-Off back in February. Even so, Pettersson's play was not as ideal as imagined, and he didn't record as many points in the 3 tournament games that he played. But he's also played on the U17 team in 2015, the Under-18 in 2016, and twice in the World Juniors in 2017 and 18, and the World Championship in 18 and 19. At the 2018 World Championships, Pettersson actually played with OEL and Anders Nilsson, where they won gold. Other Canucks that are going to be on Sweden's roster include the aforementioned OEL, Jacob Markstrom, Elias Lindholm, and Gustav Forsling. So Sweden is well represented, and they're bringing a pretty dynamic team there.
Canuck speculation, Bruins linked to Leafs Michelli. I alluded to it earlier.
Yeah. Now, the rumor going around is that, sure, Vancouver sent Quinn Hughes to the Minnesota Wild. Kiefer Sherwood also remains on the trading block for them. He's been the most frequent subject of trade rumors since November. Elliot Friedman speculated that the San Jose Sharks could be interested in Kiefer. Now, taking on a UFA-eligible player like Kiefer would indicate that the Sharks have eschewed selling off assets by the trade deadline and are instead becoming buyers in pursuit of their first postseason berth since 2019. And I got to be honest with you, the fact that they're sitting in a wild card spot right now, having a 3-game win streak going and being 6-4-0 in their last 10 is probably a good indicator. As for Matias Michelli, the Bruins beat writer Fluto Shinzawa of The Athletic suggested that the team might be wise to acquire Michelli from the Toronto Maple Leafs. NESN's Victor Barbosa also indicated that the Bruins were amongst the teams attempting to acquire Michelli before he signed with the Leafs from the Utah Mammoth. Now, there's no word as to what might actually be coming back the other way, but it's again, talk about this sort of thing is heating up as we get more towards the trade deadline.
I think a pick would be in order
because it's going to be a good draft if they could get a pick
at
for
least.
this year. I was looking here at some stats of that Matthews has. He's scoring at 93% of the rate that he scored last year. 98% of shots on goals that he had last year. His assists are down to 68% from last year. His plus minus is down to 74% from last year. His power play 76% down from last year. And his hits are at 39% of last year. What says injury out of all those things?
Probably all of it. I mean, let's be honest here.
39% says, and that was a bad year for him. It was a down year. But that hit thing tells me he's not making contact, and that's one of the big issues where he's not being physical. Much like what he did in the last game when he skated to the front of the net, he went for the front of the net. He hasn't done that much. He hasn't skated with pace through the crease much. And we saw what's good about him doing that because he has such a great stick. And he scored a great goal, and the Leafs won a game that they were behind 4-1. That's a good sign. Not good for Winnipeg because it means they've extended their poor play. It's going to be interesting. He had 3 goals and assists, Aaron. I've said from the beginning of this season, he has to drive the bus when it comes to scoring. He has to create offense. And it doesn't mean that he has to score all the points. What it means is he's got to occupy the thinking of the defense of the other team. He has to get them worrying about him, which will make openings for the players around him. So, it isn't just a question of him making great plays. It's about him playing great and becoming a concern to the opposition. And that's what he hasn't been this year. And he looked like that against Winnipeg.
With all of his stats coming down as compared to last year over year, that's pretty much the indication. The fact that he's shying away from physical contact and most recently was sidelined against the Devils, even just less than a week ago, is one of those indications that everything's not as it should be.
And the velocity of his shot. And the velocity of his shot is down a lot. A lot of people who know up close watching him shoot, they don't see the same shot. It doesn't have the same authority it's had in the past. But he almost got another 4-goal game.
Now that would have been interesting too.
Last time he did that was in his first game for the Leafs against Ottawa. And I got to say, looking back, that was a bad sign. He got 4 goals and the team lost. It kind of says a lot about what happened since then. So the team has to play better. They've played better. They've been more responsible. And to sit here and suggest because they made mistakes that they're awful is stupid. At the end of the day, every team's going to make a mistake in the game. The question is, are you able to recover before that mistake really hurts? And that's the key with this team. They can't make mistakes. And when they do, they've got to recover quickly without hesitation. Aaron, this was great. Last word to you, buddy.
Well, at the end of the day, the games are what the Leafs make of it. The fact that we're not sitting here right now bemoaning the fact that they are still stuck in the basement is, at least as far as I'm concerned, a good sign. Their play hasn't been stellar this season. I'll be the first person to admit that. They're 17th out of the 32 team NHL. They are currently sitting at 11th out of 16th in their conference. And they're currently sitting at 6th out of 8 in their division. But I have hope because it's a new year. They're 2 points out of a wild card spot. They can hop over the Penguins and the Panthers to get there, provided the Panthers don't get any hotter. And we're gearing up for it, folks. After the Olympics, watch for this team to really set things on fire.
No team is dominating in the East like the teams that are dominating in the West. So it's open season for a playoff spot in the East. Anybody can make. Well, we've seen how in a matter of a week or two, a team goes from the bottom to in a playoff spot. So good luck to all the teams. Good luck to the Canadian teams. I hope Winnipeg straightens out. For Aaron William Freeland, I'm Candid Frank Stanishi. Thank you for watching Leaf Talk. We'll see you again next time, and that'll be on Monday. We'll be back again. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll surprise y'all.
You never know.